They told you that running destroys muscle. They lied. If you want to run a marathon or crush a Hyrox and still keep your slabs of meat, you don't have to choose. You just have to stop thinking like a specialist. Look around. The hybrid athlete is the new normal. People doing IronMan, Hyrox, marathons, obstacle races, and still walking into the gym to pull heavy back squat PRs. This isn't a fad. It's a shift. Athletes demanding versatility, not specialization. But the old guard keeps preaching a single, scary line. If you run, you'll lose muscle. If you lift, you'll never run fast. That's fear, not physiology. Those statements sell simple answers. They don't solve complex problems. You're not broken for wanting both. Here's the truth I want you to leave with in the next 20 minutes. You can be strong and fast. You can run long or compete in Hyrox and still hold or build muscle. The catch, and this is the coaching part, you must understand how to schedule training, control intensity, and feed the machine. That's it. No mystical supplements. No impossible trade-offs. We'll cover the science, the so-called interference effect, and the simple tactical rules that neuter it. 1. Don't make the cell confused, space sessions. 2. Make most running slow, zone 2. 3. Lift heavy for rock-solid tendons and economy. 4. Eat like someone doing 2 sports. If you've been calling yourself a runner or a lifter like it's a tattoo, stop. Identity is a straitjacket. The better identity is hybrid athlete. Strong when needed, endurant when required. That's the person who wins the long game. In a moment, I'll explain the molecular argument people hide behind, mTOR versus AMPK, and I'll show you the one scheduling rule that obliterates most of that conflict. Then we'll build a weekly split that actually works. If you want to keep muscle while getting faster, watch closely. The plan is simple, but it demands discipline. All right, let's stop choosing. All right, now for the part that sounds scary but becomes simple once you see it. The so-called interference effect. Fancy name, simple mechanic. 2 dominant cellular pathways don't always play nicely together. Meet mTOR. Think of it as your muscle-building switch. When you lift heavy, when amino acids and insulin flood your blood after a meal, mTOR turns on. It tells ribosomes to build protein, repairs damage, and grows muscle. mTOR is anabolic. It wants to make your fibers thicker, stronger, denser. Now meet AMPK, the energy sensor. When you run hard or go long and your ATP drops, AMPK wakes up. It says, make more mitochondria, burn fuel, improve endurance. AMPK drives adaptations for stamina, more oxidative enzymes, more efficient fuel use. Here's where people freak out. AMPK and mTOR have opposite jobs. AMPK will, under energy stress, dial down mTOR activity. It's literally designed to conserve resources and prioritize endurance. That's the interference effect in a nutshell. The cell gets conflicting orders. But, and this is crucial, conflict depends on timing, intensity, and volume. Golden rule, don't confuse the cell. If you can, don't run and lift in the same session. Give the body time to register I built. Before you tell it, I need to endure. Space them. 6 hours is the practical breakpoint coaches use, enough time for early mTOR signaling to fire and for acute metabolic stress to settle. If you absolutely must do both on the same day, order by priority. Want strength? Lift first, then run later. Want endurance? Run first, then lift later. If your goal is to preserve or build muscle and still run well, strength first is usually the smart choice. Intensity and total weekly volume are bigger drivers of interference than a single session. High volume, high intensity endurance work creates sustained AMPK activation and chronic fatigue. That's when you'll see strength stall. The antidote: keep most runs in the slow zone and reserve only targeted intense sessions for adaptations. So, science doesn't say you can't have both. It says you must be smart. Control timing, control intensity, control volume. In practical terms, space sessions by 6+ hours when possible, lift heavy, run slow most of the time, and treat hard cardio as targeted seasoning, not your whole meal. Stick with me. Next, we'll map that into a weekly split you can actually follow. All right, theory's done. Now we build. This section is where the rubber meets the road, a realistic weekly split that protects strength while giving you the endurance you need. I'll give you a sample plan, alternatives for busy people, and clear rules for adjusting leg volume so your squat and your marathon both improve. Before the calendar, follow these guardrails. 1. Prioritize 1 session per day if possible. 2. If 2 sessions same day, space 6+ hours. 3. 80% of running should be zone 2. 4. Keep heavy strength, 2-3x/week with low reps. 5. Monitor weekly leg set volume. Reduce when run miles climb. Here's a practical, repeatable week for an intermediate lifter who runs 3-4 times. Monday, lower strength, heavy. Tuesday, zone 2, easy run 45-75 minutes. Wednesday, upper strength plus short conditioning 20 minutes. Thursday, threshold or VO, 2-session, quality day. Friday, lower plus single leg work, moderate. Saturday, long zone 2 run, 90-150 minutes depending on goal. Sunday, rest or active recovery, mobility, easy spin. That's balance. 2 heavy lower sessions, 1 long run, 1 quality run, plenty of zone 2, and an upper body day to protect your pressing and pulling. Translate that into sets. Lower strength, Monday. Squat 4, 6 sets of 3, 5 reps at 80-90% 1 RM, or RPE 7-9. Deadlift variation 3x3-5, heavy core. Upper, Wednesday. Bench row 4-8-5-8, overhead press 3-8-6-8, chin-ups. Lower Friday. Lighter back-off squats or trap bar 3-8-5, single leg RDLs 3-8-10, heavy calf work and plyo, 2-4 sets of short box jumps for stiffness. Keep reps low on the heavy days. Stay 1-3 reps shy of failure for strength. Key concept: weekly leg stress equals sign strength sets X intensity plus run miles X intensity. If your long run jumps from 90-150 minutes, cut Friday's heavy sets or reduce squat intensity that week. Conversely, during a strength block, 4-6 weeks, back off long run duration and keep more zone 2 maintenance. Use a rolling approach, alternate emphasis, 1 week strength heavy, next week endurance heavy, but never drive both to extremes simultaneously. If life forces 2 sessions in a day, do it smart. Option A, strength priority. Strength AM, heavy, easy zone 2 p.m. Option B, endurance priority. Quality run AM, light technique or accessory strength PM, low fatigue. If you must put both intense sessions same day, don't. It's a fast track to chronic fatigue. And remember, meals, nap, and protein between sessions matter. Don't overdo bodybuilding fluff. Choose targeted accessory choices, heavy eccentric calf raises for Achilles tendon stiffness, Nordic or RDL variants for hamstring resilience, single leg pistol or step-ups for imbalance, and skipped plyometrics for elastic recoil. 2 short 10-15 minute tendon sessions per week are worth more than endless high-rep leg days. That week is a template, not law. Test it for 4-6 weeks, track strength and run pace, and adjust. Your 2 control knobs are weekly leg volume and intensity distribution. Keep those in check and the hybrid life is sustainable. Next, we'll talk about anabolic running, how to add short runs that protect hormones and sometimes even help muscle growth. Let's address the hormone panic first. Will long runs kill my testosterone? Short answer: they can if you mash the gas on high-volume chronic endurance without fueling or sleeping. But that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a smarter approach. Endurance work creates huge metabolic stress. Long, repeated high-mileage blocks can elevate cortisol and, in some athletes, suppress resting testosterone. That's why ultra-endurance athletes sometimes look depleted, not because running destroys muscle by magic, but because the body is in a chronic catabolic state from volume, energy deficit, and poor recovery. Here's the flip. Intensity drives a different endocrine response. Short, intense efforts spike growth hormone and catecholamines acutely. These are anabolic or at least muscle-sparing signals when paired with solid nutrition. That's the kernel behind what coaches call anabolic running. Short, targeted lactic threshold work designed to produce hormonal benefit without long-term catabolism. Anabolic running is not endless tempo miles. It's a 20-30 minute session where the warm-up counts, then you do a short block of lactic threshold efforts. Think repeated 30-90 second surges or 2 4-minute hard intervals with full recovery. Then an easy cool down. Total high-intensity time is small, but the hormonal and neuromuscular signal is large. Use this 1-2x per week as seasoning, not the main course. Coaches and athletes have packaged these ideas into practical templates. For example, coaches like Joe LoGalbo have popularized short, lactic-focused runs as a fast, time-efficient solution when you're short on time but need a strong hormonal and performance stimulus. Use them smartly, quality over quantity. Mechanically, short, high-intensity work recruits fast motor units, the same fibers you protect in the gym, and creates a neuromuscular stimulus that helps maintain strength. Hormonally, spikes in GH and catecholamines work in your favor if you're eating, sleeping, and not stacking massive weekly mileage on top of it. Practical rules: 1. Keep anabolic runs short, 20-30 minutes total. 2. No more than 1-2 per week for most hybrids. 3. Never replace your Zone 2 base. 80% of your running still belongs in the slow lane. 4. Fuel them. Carbs before, protein within an hour after. That's how you get the endocrine upside without trading size. So yes, running can lower testosterone if you abuse it. But done intelligently, running can be anabolic adjacent, a performance booster and muscle protector. Next section will cover recovery and the absolute non-negotiables: calories, protein, sleep. Keep these right and anabolic running becomes a weapon, not a liability. We've built the plan and the tools. Now the boring truth: you don't out-train poor recovery. If you want to keep muscle and run hard, sleep and calories are the real rate-limiting steps. Hybrid training is expensive. Expect your energy needs to rise, sometimes a lot. A useful rule: if you're doing heavy strength plus moderate weekly mileage, add more carbs and calories than a single sport athlete. Don't chase a magical number. Track weight and performance. If you're losing strength or chronically tired, you're underfueled. Add 200-400 calories per day and reassess after a week. Proteins are non-negotiable. Aim for high-protein meals spread across the day. Most hybrids do well with roughly 1.6-2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. Practically, that's about 25-40 grams of high-quality protein every 3-4 hours and a solid serving within an hour after hard sessions. Carbs are your friend. Use them around the hard work, pre-work carbs for interval threshold days, and larger portions before long runs. On easy Zone 2 days, you can be a little lighter, but do not starve yourself. A practical guideline: the busier the week, more miles, more intensity, the more carbs you should consume. Think in ranges, not absolutes. Sleep is where you earn your gains. 7 to 9 hours of consistent sleep per night is the target for most athletes. If you couple poor sleep with high training volume, you blunt testosterone, growth hormone release, recovery, and your mood. Prioritize a sleep routine, same bed, wake times, dark room, and wind-down habits. If you need a nap between sessions, a 20-90 minute nap can be a powerful reset. Use objective gauges. Track RPE on key lifts, morning resting heart rate, weight trends, and, if possible, HRV. If RPE rises and performance drops for more than a week, that's your cue to deload. Reduce volume or intensity for 5-7 days. Plan a deload every 4-6 weeks during heavy blocks or after a block of high mileage. Spend money and time on the big wins: sleep, food, weekly structure. For tools, creatine is cheap and protects strength. Caffeine can sharpen short sessions. A consistent mobility routine and targeted soft tissue work, foam rolling, massage, reduce soreness and improve range. Cold or contrast therapy can reduce soreness but won't replace calories or sleep. Think of them as supplements to recovery, not the solution. Finally, mindset. Hybrid training requires ruthless prioritization some weeks and generous play other weeks. Use a focus switch. 4 weeks of strength focus, 1 week of recovery or endurance emphasis, or plan your season so the biggest races don't clash with maximal strength tests. Consistency wins over perfection. To be a complete human, you must be able to carry heavy things and carry yourself over distance. The hybrid path isn't easy, but it's simple. Schedule smart, lift heavy, run mostly slow, eat like an athlete, and sleep like it matters. If you want the full blueprint, workouts, microcycles, and a printable plan, I've built one called Anabolic Running to help you apply this without guesswork. Until then, train hard, recover harder, and stop choosing. Quick disclaimer before you go. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It's not medical advice. If you have any underlying health conditions, cardiovascular risk factors, metabolic disorders, hormonal issues, or are returning from injury, consult your physician or a qualified healthcare professional before starting a hybrid training program. Strength training and endurance work both place significant stress on the body. Proper progression, adequate nutrition, and intelligent recovery are essential to reduce risk. Train smart. Listen to your body. And when in doubt, get professional guidance.